Hey everybody, welcome back to the Badgerland Birding Podcast, bringing you birding news and stories from the Badger State and beyond. Today we're with Rick Grijalva, who's the president of Fresno Audubon. We actually met him when we were out in California doing some birding with our friend Rachel, and I remember she was like, "Yeah, my friend Rick is coming with." And we're like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then he just started finding birds immediately. He's like, "Hey, there's this. Here's one of these. Here's one of those." We're like, "Man, Rick's amazing." So,
Whenever somebody says their friend is coming with, you never know what you're gonna get.
yeah,
And
it's
it
true.
just so happened that Rick happened to be cool, so it worked out. It could have been a different story.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm glad that I got to meet you guys. It was amazing because, like, I was like, I spent a lot of time watching you guys beforehand, and so it was when I saw you guys in the parking lot and I pulled up, I was like, oh, look at that, you guys are real. It was really cool.
Look at that.
Oh, Ryan's a lot taller than in real life than he is on the videos.
We
He,
try to keep
Yeah.
that under wraps.
yeah,
We
yeah,
don't
most
want the
people
world
don't
to
know
know.
that. Yeah,
Yeah. So where are you at right now? You're at one of the festivals, right? You're going to be doing some guiding.
that's right. Yeah, I'm here in Morro Bay. Just got in, checked into my hotel. So over the next 5 days, I'm going to be leading some bird walks for the festival. This festival grows every year, and this year it's going to be like bigger than it's ever been. So they've got like a record number of guides and trips, and so I get to be here. It was just lucky that I was in the right place at the right time because I really wouldn't have signed up to be a guide here. I didn't really know about the festival very much. This is my first time going to attend, but as a Fresno Audubon trip leader, we one of our trips recently or in the last few months was in Morro Bay. And so we're over here at Sweetwater Preserve. And we knew that the local chapter of the Audubon Society was going to be there. But we kind of tried to time it to where like we wouldn't be there at the same time. So it
Because you guys
wouldn't,
would get in a huge fight.
yeah, yeah. There'd be tripods just like lunging and like,
I was thinking dance off, but I guess it could have gotten more violent.
well, yeah, if you want to get like that rare bird sighting, if you want to like get the perfect view, you never know. Like sometimes people like start standing in front of you and you never know where it's going to go.
Can get heated from there.
Yeah. But yeah, the dance off, snapping the fingers. Um, but so we're over there and we kind of cross paths with them, and it's really obvious to see, this big group of people with binoculars and scopes and stuff. We're like, oh, that must be them. And I didn't really know any of them, but we all said hi and started talking a bit, and so then we just like kind of went our separate ways. But then I had to get something out of the car, so I turned back and started heading over. And on my way back, this guy named Bob pulled me aside. He said, "Hey," we just started talking for a little bit. And he found out that I do guiding and everything. He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Have you ever considered leading a trip for Morro Bay more for our festival?" I said, I don't really know anything about it. And so he got my information and we talked a bit, and he invited me to come out, and they put me up in this hotel, and here I am. I'm looking forward to it.
For some reason,
Where's
I picture you getting recruited and it being a situation like an old school boxer in New York. Like, I saw what you did out there with the birds, kid. I think you got a lot of potential.
Yeah. Yeah. Later on, he told me, yeah, I saw you just like pointing all these things out to the group. And so I was like,
game
yeah,
game
we got it.
recognizes game.
The way you pointed out that Thea's goal to that guy over there that was looking the wrong direction, Rick, it inspired me all over again.
You
And
got
then
him
it's
right
just
on
him
that
like
bird.
it's him just tapping him on the shoulder and pointing like it's over there. It's
It's
like,
right over
oh.
there. The guy's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Where
Uh,
exactly is Morro Bay?
so Morro Bay is in the central coast of California. Uh, so from Fresno, I just kind of go I just hit about 2.5 hours, like southwest or yeah, southwest, and it's like right in the middle of the state, sort of near San Luis Obispo, but like south of Monterey.
Yeah.
Is it kind of a well-known hotspot? Like what are the main targets people look for there?
Well, out here, there's just a ton of shorebirds, and for the winter, we're gonna get there's all kinds of gulls that people are probably gonna try to see. So I'm just crossing my fingers that we get lucky and we see a bunch of stuff. Like I saw your recent video at the dump.
Oh,
You
yep. Yep.
you got the glaucous gull. I'm like, oh, that would be really cool.
Yeah,
Dude,
do you
the
get a lot of
dump is
those?
a hot spot around
Oh
here.
yeah, yeah. Do you
Yeah.
get a lot of the Arctic gulls out there? Because they come into
Uh,
the Midwest because we have Lake Michigan there, so we have most of the species of the general Arctic gulls here.
I mean, you can get some, but it's going to be mostly like our usual suspects, like Western gulls and California gulls, ring-billed gulls. Um, but we'll get some interesting birds out here sometimes. But with the winter plumage, it's a little bit trickier.
Does
Yeah.
short-billed gull make it down by you guys?
Yeah, we get
Okay,
short-billed out here. Yeah.
cool.
So here's an interesting story. We were out in Oregon actually along the coast, and they out there have those Western. What is it, Derek? Is it Western?
Western and glaucous winged
Yeah,
gulls?
Western and glaucous
All the
wing gull
hybrids.
hybrids that they just call big guys on the pelagic out there. And we were out on this jetty once, and we saw one just grab a black turnstone, and it's just
Whoa.
holding this black turnstone by the wing in its bill, trying to eat it. And then eventually the black turnstone got away. But those things are gnarly.
Yeah, they're huge. And like, yeah, I'm looking for a glaucous wing gull out here. I still haven't ID'd one. And so I'm looking to maybe make my first one this weekend.
Because I think like once you go up, you get the hybrid zone, but I think like south of that, like it's more pure, right?
Uh, I wish I could tell you. I just got a gull guide, so I'm just
The
really
gull
kind
guide.
Is it a Mars gull guide?
actually no, that's not the one I got. I
Oh
You
got
found a
man.
rival gull guide.
yeah, I can't even remember what it's called, but I got it for a gift a little while ago, like a while back, and so I'm like barely starting to crack into it. But it was funny because yeah, I just heard on I think it was the ABA podcast, and they were talking about that goal guide, the goal guide, and I was like, oh man, I was like maybe I got the wrong one. I'm like, no, just focus on what you got.
I'm
It's
sure there's good stuff in both of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny because Amar is a teacher. So Amar is just this guy that really loves gulls that has his own blog and has been studying them and is the go-to guy, but I don't think has anything to do with nature that he teaches. What does he
I think it's
teach, Derek?
math. He's a
Yeah,
math
I think he's a
teacher.
math teacher. We went gulling with him in Illinois. He's a really cool guy. And we were going to see this gull that was a hybrid laughing gull. And is it ring-billed, Derek?
Yeah.
Ring-billed gull, laughing gull hybrid called the Colonel that's been coming back to the same place over and over. And it's called the Colonel because it used to sit on this KFC in the area.
Oh, nice.
But he was like showing us like because we were doing some bread chumming. Like, you don't want to feed bread to birds all the time, but like special things, for gulling, it's kind of a common thing. So he was really good at throwing the bread. And we're like, what's your secret? He's like, just practice. Just like all this ridiculous niche stuff that you're like, nobody else is like, yeah, I'm an expert at throwing bread out to bring gulls
Yeah,
in and all this
it's
really
like the
funny
perfect
stuff.
arc to it.
Dude, it
Yeah,
was. He was so good at it. Ryan
yeah.
was terrible at
Oh,
it.
well, we had some kind of bread that was very
It was a
malleable. It
French
wasn't,
rye.
yeah, it was a
You
French
were
rye
very
bread.
confident
So,
that it was going to do well, and it
well,
did
I think
not.
it could have done well, but in the throwing department, it wasn't good. I think Amar had stale general white bread that just was basically a
General
stone that
white
you could
bread.
hurl. And we had this delicate rye bread, this French rye, and I'm trying
Yeah,
to throw it and it just falls apart. So Amar goes, "Oh, look at this." It's you see it arcing in the distance. It
It's like when
glides across the water.
somebody really good throws a frisbee and it like goes down and then it comes back up and you're just
Yeah.
like,
And then
wow,
I
look at
tried to
that.
throw it and it just right into the
I just
ground.
like boom right into the
Oh
water.
yeah.
I think it
Yep,
broke
exactly.
apart. He like threw it, just like just crumbled.
It wasn't good. But yeah, it's funny. Gulls, they're an interesting subject. I was out birding a couple days ago and we found a Thayer's type Iceland gull, which around here is, in my opinion, the hardest to identify because they can look so much like herring gulls. But
Hmm.
when you find a cool one, it's very satisfying to say, oh yeah, Iceland gull, that's a Thayer's type. You just feel accomplished doing that.
That's
No one
where
else cares but
I'm gonna
you,
get
but
to.
hey.
Because
And
yeah, I'm
Amar.
picking out those herring gulls too, and so I'm like getting down like okay, we kind of narrow it down, the pinkish feet, okay, the yellow feet, the pale iris or the dark iris, and it's like from there you kind of and you guys talked about like wingtip pattern. It's just like okay, all those things just start to build and build, and before you know, I'm like okay, now I can point out the differences pretty consistently, at least in my neighborhood.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come out here and we can try gulling at the landfill, the one that we did in the video. Sometimes it's the
Yeah.
best place for gulling.
You
It's
guys inspired me. I'm like, oh man, I've never been birding at the landfill. So like it just opened up this whole, new thing. And I had heard about it before, but seeing you guys out there, it just like puts another little like nudge in that direction. Like,
So
yeah.
the best landfill, and I would say the most
The
famous
crown
landfill,
jewel of
the
landfills.
crown jewel of landfills is the Brownsville dump in South Texas. In the
Yeah.
big year, you've seen the big year, right, Rick?
Yep. Yep.
So when Stu is looking for the Tamaulipas crow, that's supposed to be at the Brownsville landfill. It's a
Mm.
place where the Tamaulipas crows used to come, but you can still find chihuahua and ravens and other good stuff. They actually just found a gray gull there like a couple weeks ago. Our friend Justin found it, which is the second record for the United States. It's really cool. But you
Um,
can go in there and you can actually like they have you sign a thing and you can drive into the landfill and they have like a place for birders to go and they have like benches where you can sit and be in the landfill looking through all the gulls and ravens and doing whatever you want. So that's like the most famous one where they actually let you go in and it's actually built for ecotourism.
Sort of.
yeah, that's wild. They got benches out there, all this infrastructure for
Yeah, it's pretty
wildlife
cool.
viewing.
Ours is like, no, we definitely don't want you in there. But Texas, they're like, yeah, go for it.
At least
Uh-huh.
there's that hill on ours where you can look out over it. It was cool to get that long distance spot of the glaucous gull because I was just looking through them and somehow noticed the wingtips, and you kind of think, wonder if you actually saw it or not, or if you're just imagining it. You know how sometimes you get weird light shimmers and things,
Oh yeah.
and sure enough, glaucous gull.
Yeah, I was seeing your video clip and I was like, oh, I think that might be it. It was just like this all white, like just a dot. I was like, okay, that one looks.
Yeah. Sometimes when you know, you know.
Hmm. Well, I'm just like, ne most of the birding that I do is like you kind of just like weed out what's different, and it's just like,
Hmm.
okay, there, like zoom in on that.
Yeah, I think so much of birding at a high efficiency and high level is just understanding what's supposed to be there and understanding what's probably not supposed to be there. And then, such as songs and calls, when you hear the song or call you don't know, you may not be sure what it is, but you know it's something that you should look into further.
Yeah, that's why it's like somebody told me, I can't remember one of the trips I went on. They really suggested, to get good at birding, just get really good at what's just around you all the
Mm.
time. Like just get those things down so that once something stands out, you're like, okay, now you can zoom in on that.
Hmm. Yeah, for
That's been
sure.
really helpful.
Yeah, I will
Yeah.
say there are instances when you know, but you actually don't know. Because I
What do you
remember
mean you don't know?
we were in Arizona. No, we were in New Mexico at Rattlesnake Springs, and I saw a tanager. I'm like, it's a hepatic tanager. And I was like, how did you know that? I'm like, I just know. Like, it looks so different. Then, like, later I looked back and I'm like, it's a summer tanager. It was
Yeah.
not a hepatic tanager. But we had
Yeah.
a clip of me in the moment getting super excited about it as like a hepatic tanager. And I was just like, I don't know. I thought that I knew what it was, and I did
Yeah.
not. So,
I think especially once you get like really like in a birding groove, you start misidentifying a lot more. At least that's been my experience because it's like, oh, I'm just gonna, you have that confidence to just call it out.
the
Yeah.
worst is when you're in a group and you're like, oh, it's a such and such. Then like, sorry guys, it's not. I was
Yeah.
wrong.
They go, where is it? And you go, oh, it's down over there. You can't see it anymore. It's long gone.
Or
Don't look for it.
when you're in a tour group and you see something really tiny that you want to try to get everyone on and it's only there for a second, you go through like, should I even mention it? Like nobody's
Hmm.
gonna be able to see this thing. If it's like, obviously not like a target species, but just something that only you saw, you kind of have to decide like, do we want to stop everybody and stare at this forest for 10 minutes to see?
Yeah, to get everybody on that one little bird that's like a lot of them are gonna be like, okay.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah.
What's interesting about it too is when you're guiding, you want to be able to get people on stuff early. So if you see it, you can think it's something, but then you wonder, should you call it out? Because there's always the risk if you didn't get a good enough look that it could be something else. So
Right.
sometimes you'll just see the general size and shape or the flight path and think, oh, it's one of these. And then you get a second glance and you realize, oh, it's not, it's something different. And then you think if you would have called it out, people would just be like, you're stupid. I don't know if they would actually think that. They probably wouldn't, but there's a little bit of pressure guiding. I was going to ask you, do you feel pressure coming up for this tour group or not really?
I did. I really wasn't that much, but then like as I was getting ready to leave my house today, I started feeling a little bit of the nerves. But I was like, something I learned a while back was, you could look at this nervousness and just kind of switch it to, okay, I'm not feeling nervous, I'm feeling excited.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
that's kind of like I just kind of talked myself into that. I'm like, yeah, I'm excited. That's what it is. And so, but it turns out it's true because kind of talk myself down a bit because, like you're saying, when you're guiding, there's pressure, but unless we're doing like big day, which I have two of them, but this weekend, um, but like for those other trips, you can kind of like take it a little bit slower, and you see a sparrow that you think is maybe for us a white-throated sparrow would be like pretty cool, but not for you guys. But so let's say I suspect that it is, then I'm going to try and get everybody on this bird, and I'm going to say, hey, everybody, let's pay attention to this sparrow right here in this brush real quick. And then so if somebody wants to yell it out, great. But at least it gives everybody like a chance to kind of like zoom in, take it slow, and then we can kind of start describing the field marks of it. And then before you know it, if it was just another white crown, then no one made that mistake. But then if it turns out to be, it's like, oh yeah, look at the white throat, and it's like, okay, now we can go from there. So there's like little strategies that I can implement. So it's just like I don't have to yell it out and put my foot in my mouth after, you know.
Or just do it. Just go scattershot, yelling everything out. And if you find a couple of them, it'll be like the fortune teller thing where even if you get one prediction right, everyone will think that you know what you're doing.
Yeah, they're like, wow,
You
yeah.
shout out
It's
10
not.
rare birds and two of them actually are, and people say, Rick found those the two rarest birds. Rick found those, and no one will
It's
remember the
it's
other
like the
eight.
NFL broadcasters were like, yeah, I think the Chiefs are gonna win, the Packers are gonna win, and the Bears are gonna win, and then one of them's right, and like I was right about the Bears.
Yeah, yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
Although I shouldn't be saying that because people are never right about the Bears
Mm.
winning at least.
Not
Um,
winning, no.
yeah, yeah.
Brutal. Catching strays are the Chicago Bears.
I hope Caleb Williams is really into birds or something. He's like, come on, man. Although that last Packers Bears game was rough. But with guiding, I feel like once you get the first bird that people are excited about, it takes some of the pressure off. When they're like, "Oh yeah, that summer tanager was so cool." It's like, okay, I got this. I can find birds. People
Well,
like
yeah,
the birds I find. Yeah.
It really depends on what kind of group you get too. Sometimes you get a group that's just happy to be there. They have certain things they want to see and they're pretty chill, even if you're not going crazy hard. Some people don't want to look crazy hard for any birds. And then some people just want one specific thing. So if you get a very agreeable, fun group that you gel well with, it's really easy and fun.
yeah.
And you don't have as much stress.
Yeah. One of the things I was kind of losing my mind this morning because I couldn't find my pointer. And I'm like, where the heck is this pointer? Because one of the things that's really helped me over the last like year or so with guiding is having like a super bright green laser that you could see it during the daytime. And so that's helped me a lot when there's like just like a thicket, like there's like a row of like just bush that it's gonna be really hard to describe. Oh, it's in that bush. It's like
Hmm.
it's all bush. So like especially where it's like a little bit shaded or like on the underside of a tree or something climbing up a tree, I can use the pointer and be like, okay, see where my pointer is? Go like 2 feet up from that. And
Yeah.
then people they just get right on it.
See where my pointer is? It's right on the eye of the bird.
Yeah, you gotta be like, Rick just blinded that sparrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
We're
letting
gonna
you
Use
get a
it,
better
use with
look. It can't
caution.
fly for a few seconds.
Jeez.
Thank
yeah.
me later.
We were joking about making a worst bird guide ever skit, and it would be like, somebody's on the scope being like, "Oh, is that a such such?" They just like shove them aside, be like, "Let me see, I need that for the county," like stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, county birding. Oh man. I just started getting into that here in California.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Yeah,
What's
because
your county technically?
huh?
What county are you technically in?
In Fresno County,
Okay.
yeah, Fresno has its own county.
Okay.
It's a really good county because it's a really wide county and
Mm.
it goes all the way up the Sierras to like the peak at some 9, 10,000 feet.
That's what I was gonna ask because I remember when we were out there, it was a 2 hour drive to everything pretty much. So it was
Hmm.
2 hours to the coast, it was 2 hours to the mountains. Does your county, does Fresno County encompass the coast and the mountains?
Well, it will go to the coastal range, but again, like only like into the coastal range, but not like across it. And
Okay.
then the same for the Sierra. It'll go up to it, but it won't go on the other side. And the other side is where you get like some more interesting species than you'll get most of like around here, like Pinyon Jay, you can get like just on the other side of the county, which I still haven't found, by the way.
They're tough. They're so nomadic. You just have to run into them. Most of the times when I've run into them, I've heard them, and then you can pinpoint it because they have such a distinctive, weird crying, laughing noise they make.
Yeah, I think it reminded me of a nuthatch or something when I first heard it. I only heard it for like a quick second, not long enough to really ID it. And it was before I knew what they sounded like. But when I played it back and I played their call, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Hmm.
It was something that I couldn't figure out, but I was like, it's kind of squeaky. It's kind of like dog toy sound or
Yeah,
raspy. I'm like, I just didn't have it, but
someday.
can't get them all, I guess.
Gotta
Uh,
catch them all, Rick.
well, I'm trying.
What's your
Uh,
next bird you're really looking to get? What's the big one that you're chasing?
Well, I'm trying to get those birds that it's like I should be able to find this one, like the Pinion Jay, and that the
Pinion jays
glaucous
are
gull.
tough.
Yeah, I want to get the glaucous wing gull, and that should probably happen this weekend. And there's a few others I can't like a rough-legged hawk. I'd like to see
Okay.
those. Still don't have one. Um, so just some birds like that, and probably more will come to my mind, but
Yeah.
kind of the
So
ones I'm.
Rick, you are number 22 all time in Fresno
Oh,
on the
nice.
top eBirders
Derek likes to just
Yeah.
call people out on the
with
podcast
with
by pulling up their
227
eBird.
Yeah.
species.
Oh, and look at the bird right there that was next to. Okay, so the sage thrasher, that was my lifer sage thrasher, and I got it in the county, so I was just like super stoked about that.
He's a county birder now.
Is
Yeah.
that the number of lists on the left side?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look at
those
the
are
difference
complete.
in
I think
lists
those are
there.
complete checklists.
Yeah, wow.
The person above you completed over 2,000 and you're under 300. That's kind
Yeah.
of
Really speaks to
impressive.
Rick's efficiency.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah.
Rachel's number 28 on here.
Okay.
She got the Sage Thrasher too.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, it was a big thing on our local birding page.
Fun fact, I'm number 293 in Fresno
That's
County.
Oh, sweet.
fantastic. I'm assuming we must be tied.
I would think so. Hey,
Maybe
we
I
Yeah.
go
got one of
back
those
there.
those
I'll
white
try
crowned
that.
sparrows you were talking about.
Wait,
White
interesting.
crown, not white throated though.
Oh, okay.
Do you
Yeah.
know Gary Woods? He seems like a
I
legend.
I do know him. Yep, yep,
And
yep.
what's up with John Luther? He has only 38 checklists, but 306 species. There's got to be
Well,
some historical data in there, I would assume.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that must be what's going on. Speaking of that, if you go down a bit, um, so you see where Lowell is, I just where am I at? Okay,
Here.
there's yeah, Lowell, he's my friend from he's also on the Fresno Audubon board. And he actually invited me to be on the board at one of our trips. And so if it weren't for him, I wouldn't even, I'd probably not be on the board right now. And then they elected me to president like pretty much right away because Rachel was
Meteoric
stepping.
rise.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, Rachel was stepping down, and so they needed somebody, and they thought I'd be good at it. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. But anyway, Lowell, he's about to turn tomorrow. He turns 90.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Yeah,
happy birthday, Lowell.
that's right. And I was just with him last weekend here in Morro Bay doing a little bit of scouting for this trip because there's a few places that I had never been before. And so I was like, "Hey, Lowell, you want to go over there and check it out?" Yep. He loves to get out there and go on trips, and he's more active than a lot of people I know, let alone any 90-year-old.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It'd
I
be
Yeah.
think
funny as if
that's
for
the
his
kind of birder
birthday,
we all strive to be someday.
it'd be
Yep.
funny if for his birthday you got another bird in Fresno County for your life list so that you one upped him on his birthday and you're like, I got you a present, lol.
Yeah. Yeah. Here, check it out. Just give him a screenshot.
Yeah.
Jeez.
We're tied right now. And speaking of historical data, I got to put I had a yellow-billed magpie in Fresno County before I was e-birding, and I've never
Ooh,
put it on there. And so
okay.
He's got a back pocket yellow-billed
Yeah, he
magpie.
does.
that's right. No, I remember seeing it, and that's one of those birds. I was like, wow, okay, well, what is that? And so I did a little research, and it's a really good bird.
Such a
It's
cool
pretty
bird.
endemic to our area.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely one of, in my opinion, the top birds one should try to get when going to California.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
think from our trip, one of the ones we were most excited about was the mountain quail views. Because we had managed to see the one like deep in the forest, and then we had the one. What was it? Was it a bobcat that ran across the road
Yeah.
and like
Yep.
one flushed up and went like right next to us? That
Yeah.
was really neat because I feel like that's a bird people don't normally get very good views at.
I think we should just walk through our entire day that we spent with Rachel and Rick because it was the first day that we birded in California. And that was the only day you birded with us, but it feels for some reason like you were there the entire trip, and I don't know why.
He was
In
with us in
spirit.
spirit. Yeah.
That must have been it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Run through that one scene where we're going down the road, and then something big
Chasing us,
on the
running behind us, trying to
something.
get us.
Yeah, yeah. What was it?
I think it was Sasquatch.
It was a mountain. No, no,
A
it wasn't.
mountain lion.
Now we're just going all over the place with this one, but no, I'm pretty sure it was just a bobcat
Yeah, I
on
think
this
so.
bridge, really close to the road too. And then so we see it going down, and then all of a sudden, what flushes up right in front of the car and
Yep.
perches right there.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
sits there right in the tree. And if anybody is curious to watch this day, we have an entire video about it as one of our Bird in California videos. So you can see the entire day because we went a lot of different places. We started at Big Stump, picnic area. We went to, where did we go after that? The day was so jam-packed.
I think well, so we were there for a while. We went to a couple different places and I think was that Sequoia National
No,
Forest,
it's Kings
That's
National
Canyon,
Park?
Kings
Canyon.
Canyon.
Okay. Yeah, we were in there for a while and then we stopped and we saw the American Dipper at that one place, like a bridge up. We stopped for Rick, do you say Lazuli or Lazuli?
I
This
say
is
last.
one Lazuli.
Yeah,
This is one I've never got a like definitive answer on how to say it. I feel like it's pretty split.
Everyone says different stuff.
But
yeah.
we saw
Tomato,
that on the way
tomato
up.
situation.
Then we went to the abandoned road, right? And walked that to look
Yep.
for northern pygmy owl. We got the mountain quail, saw some other stuff in there. Didn't get the wren,
Didn't get Pacific Wren and didn't get
Pacific wren.
Northern Pygmy Owl.
And
Mm-hmm.
then on the way out is when we had the other mountain quail. And
But
then
we
I
had
think
that one good sighting before that because I think you spotted the mountain quail first when we were on that road because it was sitting up on a stump,
right, yeah.
calling, singing, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we looked down the hill, and there it was, right on this like broken off stump, just perched out in the open. It was a bit far, but it was right there,
Yeah.
and we really lucked out because it had been a long time since I'd actually seen one, and so you guys brought a lot of good luck with you, and then we even got two sightings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still no pygmy owl though.
No, no,
That one's eluded us.
Yeah.
yeah,
Going back to the quail though, it was so cool to be alone in that area, hearing the mountain quail song, which really resonates. It's such a specific, ethereal sounding, almost ghostly noise that it makes. And it was so cool to just see it there on the stumps singing every now and again. And
hmm
the rest of the forest is pretty quiet. It was a very peaceful moment.
yeah. And then the one that perched right by the road, I mean, that was great too because you guys got video of it. We were all taking pictures of it, and it was just sitting right there, like 10 feet away from us.
Yeah, it was the kind of thing where Rachel said they're really hard to see. And I think almost 5 minutes before that, she was talking about how lucky we were to get the one view of it. And then all of a sudden, boom, right in the tree, 5 to 10 feet away, just sitting there was pretty crazy.
Hmm.
That trip to California for us was very good overall. We had a lot of fun seeing all the different habitats.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
Rachel's excitability came through well on camera. I feel like we got a lot of comments about they loved her enthusiasm for everything.
Yeah. No, she's taught me so much when I was really early in birding. I would go on the field trips and she would lead a bunch of them. And so I got to learn so much from her because she would explain like, okay, you see how this is this and that's that, or, talking about the difference between the dusky flycatcher and the Hammond's flycatcher.
She
And
does
so,
love her Dusky and Hammonds.
Yeah, she does. And so it was like, okay, now I can get like a little bit more of my head around it. So it was really cool getting to bird with her. Um, and it was awesome that you guys got so much good content with her.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. We still
We
have stuff that's
yeah, we
coming
made a
out
lot of
too.
it, but there's still some that we haven't finished. What do we still have left?
I mean, I've still been going day by day because every day was so interesting. Because I
Hmm.
like to sometimes showcase places and sometimes showcase just the whole day because you can see how much stuff we actually did. So I actually just finished one recently from the day where we went and saw the yellow-billed magpies and saw the Clark's grebes and the canyon wrens. So there's some more days to get through there that I'm slowly chipping
Yeah,
away at.
we were all over the place because you think about like, oh yeah, we were up in like the Sierras looking for Clark's Nutcracker, like, but we were also at the coast, but we were
We were
also
at
looking
Shaver
for
Lake.
LeConte's
We were,
Thrasher,
yeah,
like, yeah.
And you guys got the Lacan's Thrasher.
We
we
did.
did. Yeah,
We
we
did well
did.
in that area. But it's so amazing how you can be in a different habitat in a couple hours. Just the variability of different places you can be in and starting in one central location was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How close are you, Rick, to where the wildfires are happening? Is that impacting where you live, or is it far enough away that it isn't?
It's very far away. I mean, like in a car, it'd probably take about 3 hours. So, I mean, then the wind's not even blowing up into the valley. So, if we didn't have the news coverage, we wouldn't even detect
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But in like a few years ago, when the Sierra was on fire, I mean, it was like all rolling down the valley, and the sun was just like a red dot in the air, and the
Oh,
air was so thick with smoke, it was like your throat was like burning throughout the day if you weren't like wearing a mask or something.
Yeah, we could see the remnant of it when we were up in the mountains. You could see the areas where it was still just burned and hadn't grown back yet. You could see all the char still on the trees.
Yeah, and that area does burn, pretty often. I mean, it kind of like I guess that whole area is kind of used to being burned over the years.
I was gonna ask, is it kind of supposed to be burned? Is it an environment like that, or is it an environment that just it hasn't been managed right?
Yeah, well, as far as the management goes, I mean, there's a bunch of conflicting ideas, but I mean, there's no doubt about it that yeah, it definitely does burn frequently. I mean, regularly. The giant sequoia needs fire to
Hmm.
even survive. Part of the ways that their cones are able to open, the seeds can germinate is through fire, and the ways that those saplings get light is by clearing the forest
Hmm.
every so often, and so it just kind of coincides where the seeds start to germinate, and there's nothing to block the sunlight, and they'll sprout up, and they're really good at surviving fires too. We saw those trees then on that trail where we got the Pacific Slope flycatcher.
Doesn't
A lot of
exist anymore.
I know.
Rest in peace, Pacific Slope
Yeah.
flycatcher.
Back when Pack Slope was a thing,
Hmm.
we had those on that trail, and you could see the burn scars of those giant sequoias just go just really deep into the tree and then far up it. But they're still alive and kicking and doing well.
Yeah, they're kind of a almost punky feeling wood too.
I mean, if you like knock on it, it's just like it sounds like super like soft and hollow.
Yeah.
It's like really just it's really tough tree.
Hmm.
yeah. Right. Remember the Jeffrey pine cone? That was
Oh
like
yeah,
massive.
yeah.
That was something else cool too. There was like the regular little pine cone and then like the Jeffrey pine cone that was huge.
Yeah. So the Jeffrey pine cone, I think it was even Rachel who taught me about that one. She's like, "Oh, the gentle Jeffrey," and so like,
Yep.
and then what was it, prickly ponderosa? And so
Oh.
Sounds
she's
like a
like, "Yeah,
drink.
yeah, yeah, yeah." She's like, "Okay, feel this pine cone, prickly. Okay, that's ponderosa. Feel this one, the prickly, the those parts go in. It's gentle. It's gentle Jeffrey pine,
I can
and then
definitely
the sugar
picture
pine.
Rachel just handing you a large pine cone and just saying, "Feel this."
Yeah, yeah, she does. She's like, "You feel how that pokes you?"
Like, thanks, Rachel.
Is
Yeah.
she
Appreciate
at
it.
Morro Bay with you as well, or no?
No, I don't know. I'm not sure where she is, but I mean, she's in town somewhere in Fresno. Well, that's not, I can't really say. I'm not sure where she is, but I don't think that she's here right now.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I'm surprised she's not leading any trips, but I'm sure she's doing her trip leading, with her business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've definitely had some people that wanted to take tours with her. So I think that some of the content has helped make people aware of her because she really is a fantastic guide. And we also made a video about the top 5 birding destinations in the United States. And we did put California as number 5 because
I
there's so
saw
many
that.
things there you can only get there.
It's hard to pick a specific part of California though, because like in the south you have all the Mexican species that kind of wander
Yeah.
in, and then more in the north you get some of the like Oregon stuff. But we went with Central just because it's like a good mix, and
It was so
you
wide,
get the
the
yellow-billed
variability,
magpies and
the Nuttles.
nuttals and stuff, and some of the Pacific Northwest stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
It was surprising. A bunch of people were like, "Why didn't you put Cape May on the list?" And those
Yeah, a lot of
migration
people like Cape May.
hotspots, where it's like, yeah, it's great for migration, but there's great migration in a lot of different places. So
Yeah.
it's hard to just put those on the list just because they're good hotspots.
Yeah. And that one feels like, I mean, everyone talks about Cape May. It's like you guys are kind of showcasing places that maybe not everyone hears about all the time. Uh,
Cape May was all right. We went to Cape May in April, and so it wasn't peak migration, but it was
mhm.
okay.
Well,
There
that's
were
the
some
problem
cool
with those
birds.
migration hotspots. Is like they're fine to visit elsewhere, but if you're not visiting them at peak, then it's like you're comparing the best time at a hotspot versus like another hotspot on just a random day. Because if you go to the Rio Grande Valley, you're gonna see cool stuff no matter what time of year. You might be super warm in the summer, but you'll see some cool things. Same thing with Arizona, California. But like Cape May, it's not gonna be the place that people see it as when they go in spring migration if they go
Hmm.
there in like the dead of winter.
So it's just kind of like an ordinary spot otherwise.
It's
Sort
pretty.
of. It's great for, it's a migrant trap because it just juts out into the ocean. So it's just one of those places where everything funnels into, and it's the first place they'll land a lot of the time that they come up. So you can get a lot of species there in spring and see a lot of interesting stuff. And it's definitely a good spot. It's just like Derek said, not a permanent good spot. I
It's
couldn't
it's kind
picture.
of the way that, people who aren't into birding love bald eagles. And it's like, yeah, bald eagles are cool, but they like, I've seen a lot of bald eagles. That's how I feel about Cape May. Is like people are like, oh, but the migration is insane. Same thing with McGee Marsh too. People are like it's the best spot ever, but like we have similar migration by us. You do get really good views, and it's like a special place, and you should go because it's cool. But it's not like it's the only one where you can see good migration. But because it's this destination, it gets that reputation.
Hmm.
Is that the end of your Cape May rant?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
And
Yeah.
another thing. No, I'm just kidding. Rick, how'd you get started in birding? What was your spark bird that got you into it?
Spark Bird was it came from a bicycle ride. I was I was like biking through town and I just remember seeing this bird. I'm like, whoa, what is that? This has got to be something rare, and it was like before I had like a camera on me or anything, but and I just remember thinking like it just stuck in my head. I was like, man, what is this thing? And I could probably draw it if I had a pencil, but I just couldn't figure it out for the longest time. Like what this really weird looking rare bird was in town near a canal. You guys know what it could be?
And that
Ooh.
house sparrow inspired him to become
I was gonna make a joke about it,
Fresno
and I didn't want to
president.
ruin his moment because I'd sound like he was building up to something. Near a canal, weird bird near a canal.
Great egret.
It was hunched over and it looked like a little like
Oh, a dipper.
football. No,
Green heron,
closer.
American bittern,
Oh, I wish.
goose
No,
Oh
bittern.
no.
no, I wish again. It was a black crowned night heron.
Oh,
Oh,
yep,
okay.
that's
Cool.
hunched. I
Yeah,
get that. That's cool. First time
yeah,
I saw a black crowned night heron, I thought it was really, really neat.
yeah. Because it's like, but before that, birds weren't really on my radar. And I see this thing that just looks like so out of place. Because I see gulls around. Back then, I probably would have said seagull.
You
Here
know
in
what? I'm okay with seagull. I know people hate it, but I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't really bother me.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, there's a crow, pigeon. That's pretty much what I knew. But then you see this thing, it's just like got that red eye and it's like black and white. And it's got some things hanging off the back of it. I'm like, oh, it's really cool.
You could make
Yeah.
So
a guide Rick's Birds of Fresno and it's just pigeon and crow and then black ground night heron on it.
I
yeah,
think
and
what you
it's
said is
sparrow.
so accurate because when you see something that just doesn't feel like it fits in, you want to know about it because you'd probably gone by that area many times before and not seen anything like it. And then
Mhm.
suddenly something is there that wasn't before, and then you think, wow, that's interesting. But it's crazy how all it takes is one. It just takes one bird that you're interested in, and then suddenly you want to know more.
Yeah.
How
And
did
then
you
it gets
figure out what it
built.
was?
You know, I don't even remember. I couldn't tell you to be honest. But I remember just in this era, I think I bought a one of those like foldable guides that's like it's like plastic
Yeah,
laminated,
like a Peterson guide type deal.
Like
something
the
like that.
accordion fold guide. You just
Yeah,
open
Yeah.
it up and it's super
laminate.
long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Western backyard birds or something like that. And I looked at it the other day and I'm like, man, you know, these drawings, I don't know. Now, now looking back on it, it's like these birds look almost nothing like these ones. I'm not gonna bag on it too hard, but like, you go to
it's
your
an
Sibley
off
guide.
brand field guide. It's like a Patterson's guide, not a Peterson's guide.
You mean the
Yeah.
Bigfoot guy?
Maybe I don't
It's just
know.
a bunch of blurry birds.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so I had one of those and before you know it, I'm like kind of looking at birds and I'm like trying to identify birds. And I remember, back in these days thinking like, I'm looking at these like shorebirds and everything's just kind of mixed up and I see the willet and it's got its wings open and it's like flashing the white in the middle of the wing. And I'm like, oh, we have those in my neighborhood. It's a northern mockingbird in my neighborhood.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But I remember like reading the little note next to it said like flashes white spot in the wing, in flight. And that's when, those are the really early days.
eBird
Yeah.
reviewers just like, what is with this guy? Burton Willits at his downtown
On the
Fresno.
eBird thing, that'll happen sometimes around here when people from Europe are visiting because they'll see a great blue heron and they'll mark it as a gray heron or something. So
Right.
that can happen around here. But we sometimes get comments on YouTube about people saying on some bird, "Oh, I see these all the time by my house," and it'll be something kind of similar but not it.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, the I made a short about the cattle tyrant, in Texas. So many people were like, I have see these all the time. I have these in my house. And it's just like, yeah, after so many comments, it's like, how many people do I want to be like, no, it's probably, a Western kingbird or this other th or a goldfinch or something. It's
Did you
just
hear about the cow tyrant thing, Rick?
No, I don't think I did.
So it's a South American bird that is not known for migrating. I think it's a
Mhm.
never
Brazil.
been seen in the US, but they
Yeah,
hang out
never
in
been seen
cities
in
a
the
lot.
US, and it showed up in Corpus Christi, Texas, and everybody went to go see it, and it became a huge crazy thing because of the rarity, and people don't really know how it got there, but they assume that it was probably ship assisted. So
Yeah.
somebody either put it on a ship or it went on a ship by itself and then jumped off somewhere in Corpus Christi. And if it was a legit ship assist, that's supposed to count for the ABA, as in you can have it on your list. But if it's not a legit ship assist and it was at some point captive, then it wouldn't count. So then it became a little bit of a thing with what is the ABA going to say about it. And I think they decided that you cannot count it.
It's like a provisional species too. So I feel like it could change. But yeah, there's debate about it.
But it was an
Mhm.
interesting story and it's still there. So it's been well over a year now of that bird surviving in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Disappeared for a while and was found again in like the same spot.
I mean, it's really exciting finding a bird that's not supposed to be there,
The
you
the
know.
video, so I was at the Rio Grande Festival when it was found, and the video posting it was like it was a guy like in the car and he had like his phone. He's like, I think there was a swear word in there, but he's like, is that an effing cattle tyrant or something like that? And then the video cuts out, and that was like what ended up getting posted online, and people were like freaking out about it because obviously it wasn't supposed to be there.
Mhm. I mean, was it good enough video?
Oh yeah, it was like point blank cell phone. And the thing is like it does not care that you're there because
Mhm.
apparently they're super used to people. So it'll just like I think Ryan and I went to go see it and it was like a couple, it would come a couple feet away from you just because it
It
was
would
just
look
hanging out
inside businesses with the long windows that extended to the ground. It would just look inside those. It would be on the sidewalk and
in
the
the dumpster.
in the dumpster, around the dumpster. And the natives, half of them thought it was cool, and half of them wanted people to just stop trying to visit to get videos and pictures of it.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, get out of here.
Yeah, they're like, you don't belong here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of like what happened with our little blue heron that we got out here in Clovis and Fresno. Um, it was sticking by this one of our ponding basins, and so it was all over Facebook, and then so you had people like going over there, and it's like there's a neighborhood right there, so you have a ponding basin on one side of the street, and then you have like houses on the other side, and so we had a couple of people who kind of got harassed, like um like people will drive their car like really fast by like the birders and just
Hmm.
like I don't know, just kind of aggressive. And it's like, whoa, this one guy like peeled out next to one of my friends when she was out there. And it's just like really didn't want to make people feel welcome. But uh so yeah, that's kind of the darker side of some of these sightings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was really stoked to get the little blue heron. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's a pretty rare bird out there, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. We don't get it like in the Central Valley. No, no way. I think that was only like a second maybe sighting, or I think it was a first county record now that I think about it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
very cool.
thinking earlier today how birding is a cool hobby because there's so much rarity involved with it. If you're into fish or mammals or reptiles, like those things aren't really showing up in places they're not supposed to be just on their own. But with birding, you have the chance to really see anything in your neck of the woods. Like we had a white wagtail show up in Wisconsin. That's a bird many people that saw it wouldn't probably have the chance to go see it where they're from. So it's a cool aspect to the hobby is the rarity factor.
It's like it's really exciting, like especially when you discover it, you're not on a chase or anything. It
Mm.
just pops up, and you're like, wait a second. I think that happened to me in Las Vegas, or not Las Vegas, but in Henderson. So like just nearby Las Vegas. I was out there with my friend Aaron, and we're schlepping the scope everywhere, and it's just like it's a hot day, but we're just kind of like doing the thing, and we're at the end of this viewing preserve, um, and I see this huge bird like come across and like these willows or something, and across the river, and I see like what I think is like a white tail. I'm like, oh, maybe it's a bald eagle. It's like, oh, but no, I don't think so. Maybe not. And so I like go over there, and Aaron's over here, I'm over here, and we're like not even next to each other anymore. So I'm over here investigating by myself. And I left my scope like down the way because I was tired of carrying it. So I just left it on the side of the road somewhere. And I get my bins on this thing, and I'm like, wait a second, this is not right. And like it wasn't a white tail after all, it was a band on the tail.
Mm.
And then so I could barely make it out. And so I'm like, I think this might be a Black Hawk. And
Ooh.
like, but I have no experience with this bird at this time. So I'm like, okay, wait a second, wait a second. So I double back and I run over to Aaron, and I'm like, because he's got a better camera than me. I go, Aaron, come over here. He's like, what? I said, get photos of this bird. I gotta go get my scope. And so he's on the bird. I go over there, and sure enough, he just like says really seriously, like American Black Hawk. And I'm like, yeah, he's
That's
from
awesome.
Hong Kong, and it's like I love the way he talks because like he gets really
Hong
serious. Yeah.
Kong.
And so, uh, yeah, we get the scope on it. He gets some good photos of it, and I'm feeling awesome because that's a lifer bird for me. And we get to the main like office there, and we tell them about what we saw, and everybody's just like, "What?" They just turn around like, "Where did you see it?" And then like guy comes out of like nowhere, like from an office or something, and he's like, "Did you say Black Hawk?" And we're like, "Yeah." And then so he's like, he just gets his binoculars and takes off, and
That's
and then
awesome.
yeah, and then so I show him the picture. Well, he took off once he saw the picture on the back of the camera. He's like, I gotta see this thing. And it turns out to be like maybe the second county record or something like that.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
nice.
But it was just like those moments are like so exciting. It just turns like a normal nice day into like a really unforgettable day.
You turn into a minor celebrity that people don't really know. They just are going around looking for the hawk, being like, "Did you hear that someone reported a black hawk?" And you're like, "As a matter of fact, I did."
Yeah. 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 So those moments are just like, man, there's something, it's like just such a rush from those things.
Yeah, there's this sense of relief too when you're going on a rarity chase. You know, people are reporting, "Oh, it's you know, here and it's 40 minutes you still have to go, and every minute that you're taking is another minute that you feel like it's gonna fly away." And then you finally get there and you put some optics on it, and all of a sudden you see it, and the release internally is just so massive that you get to relax finally.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's just like an inner peace that happens.
Yeah, you have all this tension building up, and then you just like it's
Mhm.
actually a very similar feeling for me when you're playing a tennis match and you have match point and you finally win it, especially if it's been a contentious one. You just have all this tension built up and finally you win it and release. You're done. You can
Yeah.
relax now.
I feel
Well,
like
you
the
probably know,
Oh, go ahead, Rick.
I was just gonna say you probably know the feeling too of having that match point and then like losing it and like
Yep.
slipping away.
Yep. Uh-huh. Yep. I do. That's the same as
Oh,
when you pull up and then they're like, it was just here 5 minutes ago, but it's gone now. It flew that way. And you're like, unresolved
You're like, I
issues.
just drove 5 hours to see this thing.
yeah, yeah.
Some of the most annoying ones for me is like I'll have a day planned of like I'm gonna edit a bunch of videos today, and then it's been like, consistently with things in Door County where stuff will show up, and that's like a 2.5 hour
That's on the
drive,
thumb of Wisconsin.
and it's like
Oh, oh yeah, yeah.
you get the report and you like you know you have to go. You're just like, well, there goes the rest of my day. And you know it's gonna be 5 hours in the car, but if you don't do it, you'd be like, I could have been there by now. So
Yep.
every time I've gone to Door County, I think I've seen the thing for the last couple times it's been, but it's been an arduous drive.
The last
Uh,
time I went to Door County was to see that wagtail right before New Year's. And when we got there, somebody said it had just flown away. So it was one of those situations where, oh, it just left. But then a few minutes later, they said, but it usually comes back. And then someone else was able to track it down somewhere and I was able to see it. But that feeling of, oh no, I have to cope with this now. And you kind of talk yourself into coping with it. You know, instead of being excited, you're like, you know, at least it's a really nice day out. And Door County's beautiful this time of the year. It was a pleasant drive anyway. And then all of a sudden someone goes, oh, they found it over here. And you're like, we have to go immediately. I can't live if I don't see this.
Well, I think
yeah.
like the it was here 5 minutes ago is better than because I went up to see a sage thrasher we had in the state, and I think I left at like 9 or something. And when I got there, people were like it hasn't been seen since 9, and I was just like, ooh, I don't like that. Like that doesn't make me feel good.
No, and you have to dip out.
He saw it anyway, didn't
I
you?
saw it last minute. I was like about to leave, and then
Last minute.
someone
Well, it
was
wasn't a
like,
lifer for you.
"Last,
Last minute state
didn't we
bird.
have something for State Bird? Last
Last second
second,
state
last
bird.
second State Bird."
It's a last minute lifer, last second state bird.
Nice.
But yeah, I think the worst for me is when you do all the work and then it's getting dark, where it's too dark to see. Because normally I'm down to keep looking. It's just you run out of daylight, and then
Yeah.
when you have to call, you're like, ah, guys, I don't think it's gonna happen today.
Rick,
That's
you
the
can
tough
have
one.
beat the clock county bird.
What's that?
You can have beat the clock county bird. Last
Yeah.
minute lifer, last second state bird, beat the clock county bird.
I have one of those recently with the sage thrasher.
It's always the sage thrashers.
Well, we know we have to hear about it.
Well, it was, I didn't find it, somebody else had reported it. And it's in this like huge grassland area. It's like a big like sort of like a flood control area. And it's pretty much in town or like on the edge of town. But when you get up to the place where the head of the trail, there's only one entrance into this road, but it's blocked off. You can't drive your car in there because there's no way to get in. So you have to park on the street and you walk a couple miles down the road, and it's just a really long feeling few miles. So what I did the other day was I bought like this $50 mountain bike on Facebook Marketplace or something. And I bought it specifically for birding like these kinds of places because a lot of times you got to go way out there, and if you're on foot, then it's just like, it's going to take forever and you could miss an opportunity. So it was like only my second day with this bike, and someone reported it, and I ended up being able to get really close to sun. I mean, the sun was going down, and I was like, I got to beat the clock. And so I threw the bicycle in the back of my car, and I got out there, and I get it through the gate, and I'm going down, and I cannot find this thing for the life of me. And I'm just like giving up because now there's no sun. The sky is just like pink and purple. And I'm like,
Mm.
I'm like, well, at least it's a nice sunset.
I told you that's what happens. You were coping.
Yeah. And so I was coping hard, man. And then out of nowhere, I see this little flitter like come up to this iron gate. And I'm like, no. And I get the binoculars on it. And sure enough, there it is. I'm like, yes. Last minute. I mean, I had just like a couple of minutes of any light left, and there
Was
it
that a
was.
lifebird? Probably not a
It
lifebird,
was.
right? Oh, it was?
Yeah, he
Awesome.
said it was
Yeah.
a lifer. Do you ever
Live
watch Rick and
bird.
Morty?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know the episode with the time police where he makes these collars that accidentally separate everything into different times?
Yeah, I think I remember that. And there's like all these screens on like
Yeah,
the,
yeah, yeah. There's this
yeah.
point where he realizes he's not gonna make it. He can't get the collar to work, or he lost it or something, and he's just floating there. And he's coping, and he's like, "Oh, well, this is fine. Everything's good." And then he sees the collar float by, and he just goes like, "Screw that! I want to live." And that's what it's like with the birds. You're like, "Well, it's fine. I didn't see it." And you see something, flying in the distance, and you go, "Never mind. I'm gonna go get it. I
Yeah,
need this."
that's exactly what happened. And I was able to get some pictures of it, just to document the thing. And I was able to leave there really happy, like, I was like on top of the world now. And I just got like a little cherry on top, was I just see this little like nub on one of the fence posts out there, like really close to the road. And so I'm just like on this little bicycle. It's like a kid's bike, by the way. And like,
That
That
makes it even
makes it
better.
so much better.
yeah,
I
it
like
fits
how you
in
just
the
slipped
trunk.
that in. By the way, it's a kid's bike.
I
Yeah,
picture it having training wheels on still. That's like
yeah.
pink or
So
something.
like my knees are like almost hitting the handlebars and everything. But anyway, so I get out there and I'm like, see this little nub, like it's like an outline against this purple sky, and I get really close to it because I'm like, this looks like a bird, but it's not moving at all. And I get right next to it. It's like a few feet from me. And like my eyes adjust, and it's a burrowing owl just like
Oh,
right at me.
That's cool.
nice.
Yes.
Did you get a photo of that one too? Because that one with some pink light behind it would be a pretty cool look.
I had my camera around my like cross strapped, and so I go to pull it out and I'm like moving really slowly. And as soon as I get it right here, phew, it takes
Yep.
off.
I feel like they see that and it probably looks like a giant eye, staring at them
It's
with
the
the
Eye of
glass and
Sauron.
everything.
Yeah.
Because it does seem like as soon as you do that, they're just like, nope, I'm out. I'm not staying for that.
I was cool with it until that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You just crossed the line, buddy.
Yeah. Well, Rick, is this getting you pumped for your trip tomorrow?
Yes, it is. I can't wait. And I'll let you guys know if we find anything good,
Yeah, you
some
got to give us the lifer update. I picture you just getting out of the car tomorrow and just going, goals! And then going to lead your trip.
Well, you can
yeah.
also now be like, by the way, I was on a birding podcast last night, so
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and look it up, and I'll probably mention it, and they're gonna be like, yeah, of course I know them.
They're going to listen to it and be like, this guy doesn't know anything about Gull ID. He didn't even finish reading the book.
Yeah. Yeah. Couldn't tell the difference between a glaucous gull and a lesser blackback gull.
that would be a brutal one.
We did have that, by the way, in Fresno, just like not that long ago. The
A
lesser
misidea of
blackback
a
gull.
lesser blackback for a glaucus.
No, but we got the wait, what?
Somebody
You had
misid'd a
you
lesser
had a lesser
blackback.
blackback?
Yeah, no, we didn't have that, but we did have, yeah, we had the lesser
Oh,
blackback.
okay. That's a
And
relief.
yes, it was at the water treatment plant. So it's kind of like the liquid dump, if you
Yeah, it's
will.
landfill
Yeah.
adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The liquid dump.
Yeah, it is. And so that's like really one of my favorite places to go around town because yeah, we get all kinds of stuff there. I mean, you just never know what's going to show up, especially in migration. Oh, it's great. If you guys come down again, you got to go there to see what's going on. It's
That's
just
what you want to invite us down to do? You guys have to come back to California so you
Well,
can go to the
you
sewage
invited him to
treatment
come
plant.
here and go to the dump. Just
It'll
remember
be a good
that.
exchange now that you mention that. Yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
yeah. I'll go to your dump and you guys come to my water dump and
Perfect.
This
Love
belongs
it.
in a thing where people are like, why do people think birders are weird? And then it cuts to the clip like, you come to the dump, you take me to the sewage treatment plant. It's a fair trade.
yeah, yeah. And we'll actually get excited about it. I mean,
Oh yeah, I'm already thrilled.
yeah, we had the lesser blackback gull out there. Somebody else, oh, I think it was Gary Woods who reported it. It
Kerry
was the guy
Woods,
who's
man.
number one. Yeah, the
Local
legend.
legend.
And he found it. It's like probably like a first or second year bird. Um, but yeah, we got it, and he was out there like picking on the other gulls. He was not like shy or anything.
Hmm.
He was just like harassing all the American or the our California gulls and our ring-billed gulls, just throwing his weight around.
No.
And,
Have you
but
gotten great blackback gull before?
yes, when I went out to Maine
Yep.
like a few months ago, yeah, they
Those
were
are
everywhere.
Yeah.
crazy. They're so big. They're the largest gull species in the world, but when you see one, they're just robust.
Yeah, yeah. It
They'll
kind
try
of
to eat
reminds me of
you.
our Western goal.
Yeah.
But speaking of that water treatment plant, just one quick thing too. We that's where I got my life for Franklin's goal. You
Oh,
guys get
nice.
them pretty regularly, right? Out there?
As
Not that
vagrants, they're
regularly.
not like common.
Okay.
They're
It's been good
I
years
would
in this good
categorize them as
springs.
uncommon. They're an uncommon but normally occurring bird. So there'll
Mm,
be reports of them annually, but it's not the kind of bird where you can easily always go find them just happenstance.
hmm Well, I was rolling around and I heard this weird noise. Like it sounded like laughing, like you guys know what they sound like. And I'm like, what is that? And so I'm like, well, it's coming from kind of like where those gulls are, but I mean, but what is making that noise? And so I get right up to them and they're pretty tame. They're like, they're not going anywhere. They're just kind of circling around and they're in the shallow water and they're doing their, they got I was like, whoa, I do not know what this is. And back then I was like really confused as to what it was, but I knew it was not one of ours. So I took a few
One of
pictures of it.
theirs.
Yeah. And so I took a few pictures of it and I narrowed it down. I had my field guide with me. And so I was like, okay, I think this is Franklin's gull. Because like laughing gull looks like that, the black-headed
Mhm.
gull looks like that. Um, so you never know what you're gonna get at the water treatment plant.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
that's
true. I
true.
mean, that's accurate.
Rick, do you feel like there's a particular species that you're just like, it's your species to ID? Like anywhere it is, you're just like, yeah, I know that bird so well. Because I feel like you kind of get that with certain things. Are you really good at picking out the call or something like that?
Um, let's see. I mean, the first thing that jumped out to me when you said that was like just in my neck of the woods would just be like a Lincoln sparrow,
Hmm.
Hmm.
from like a quick glimpse of it to like what's that noise in the bush there? It's something like that um maybe some of the people on our trip wouldn't be able to pinpoint right away. Um, so that's kind of like what jumps out at me. But I'm sure there's like a few that might be like in that category, but that's the first one that I think of. What about you guys?
Prairie warbler
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. We're good at finding prairie warblers.
by song. So we've found two different occurrences of rare prairie warbler this year, once in Ohio and once in
Last year.
Wisconsin. Oh yeah, I
Mm.
guess last year, but the most recent 12 months of the year that we've experienced contained two rare prairie warbler sightings in the Midwest. Does that make you happy?
Who,
I can't
me or
wait to
you?
see one.
I was talking to you, Derek, because you were questioning my phrasing. Rick
Oh,
looked happy to begin with that information.
I'd
I'm
love
good
to
at,
see a prairie warbler.
yeah. I'm good at picking out the groove Bildani vocalization.
That's true.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That's
So
your bird.
if there one shows up in Wisconsin, we'll find it.
Good. Didn't one show
yeah.
up in Minnesota?
I think it did actually, which
So
is
it's
pretty
possible.
wild. Yeah.
They'll wander.
hmm I love picking out the wrens. I mean, they're like our rock wrens or canyon wrens.
Buicks.
Yeah, the Bewick's wrens. We'll get a lot of Bewick's this weekend for sure.
Buicks are always the one that throw me because I'm just not used to them. So hearing them, I'm always questioning what it is. But I
Yeah,
bet for you out there, it's probably pretty regular to hear it.
it is, but it's still like it's not like as common for me like home as it is here on the coast. Here on
Hmm.
the coast, they're everywhere. But
Yeah.
so that's been one that I'm starting to dial in better. Same with like the chestnut back chickadees out here. It took me a little minute to like say, okay, now I remember what that is.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
do
the
have to
bird.
say, this is a completely separate point, but I felt as if birding with you, there's some people that just they have a magnetism with the birds. I'm not saying that as a joke. It just felt like wherever we went, you could find the thing we were looking for. It just was like you had some sort of gateway to seeing where the birds were or drawing them in. So
Yeah.
I'm expecting that rare bird report tomorrow from you to be stellar.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We had a groove build honey and a prairie warbler.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope to report something like that. We'll get groove build right next to a smooth build, perched
Oh,
in
Oh,
the same
yeah,
tree, and we'll get a photograph and I'll send it to you.
that'd be
that'd
wild.
be great.
There's
Yeah.
another guy we're friends with named Barry who he has a similar thing where whenever there's a bird around, he goes there and he takes a picture almost from above it looking down. And he just goes, it tried to get in my car with me. He's just the birds are attracted to him for some reason.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sometimes I have good days that you guys caught a good day for us. I
He's
mean,
a
they were
boomer bust
everywhere.
birder.
Huh?
He's a boomer bust birder.
It's true. It's true. But I remember like the what was it? We were picking out like we had the white-headed woodpecker. It was a good
Yeah.
white-headed
Mm,
woodpecker day for you guys.
it was, yeah.
And
Lifer. That was the lifer day.
oh, cool.
And you got the red-breasted sapsucker as well for us.
Yep.
There was
I
Yeah.
a
think that
like
was the only one
a
we saw.
wasn't there a warbler in there too?
Hermit warbler.
Uh,
Yeah, I
which
think that
one?
was our first hermit warbler sighting.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
All in that little area across from that visitor center place.
I really
Yeah.
enjoyed the purple finches, the Pacific purple finches, and the thick-billed fox
The pack
sparrows were
perp.
really cool because it felt like seeing a new species, seeing the different subspecies.
Yeah, that is true.
They
Hmm.
could get split someday. Who knows?
That was a good day. Stellar's J, that was the life for Stellar's J day as
Oh,
well.
the stellar. You know, the Stellar's jays are not cooperative, but our blue jays around here aren't really that cooperative either.
Yeah.
I
Really?
really don't get good looks at
They're
them.
kind of
They're
awful.
around, but they won't like sit still and just like show off normally. They're kind of
Mm.
just like in and out and
Yeah.
around.
You can definitely hear them better than you can see them. Those
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
the words. That's like our rent it out here. Like we can
Oh,
hear.
those are crazy. Those were so much bigger than I expected. I thought they were going to be bush tit size, and then we saw one
Yeah,
out
yeah, it was
near the coast, and it
massive.
was huge.
Yeah. I love to see that bird because it's like for me, I don't really get to see it very often, but I'm hearing it all the time. But then once in a while, it'll perch right on top of the bush, and I'm like, ah, there you are.
Yeah, it looked like it was
Oh,
gonna try to beat somebody up. It was
it did
like,
look angry.
yeah, it looked like it was ready to fight.
They do have a feisty little look to them.
Yeah.
Some birds that just have that.
Yeah. Blue-gray
Yeah.
gnatcatcher.
Western gull.
Ooh,
Western gull literally will mug you.
yeah.
Don't think if gulls were like the size of dinosaurs, they would definitely just be eating
Oh
people.
yeah, we'd be
No
in big
doubt.
trouble.
Yeah.
No, civilization would never have evolved the way it has.
Yeah.
We could still be like hiding in little caves and stuff. Like, don't let the Western gull get you.
I wonder if we would still have a taxonomy for it. We would still be, that's a Western gull.
Keep your children away from it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool, Rick. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us. Anything you want to add before we sign off here? Can people hire you for guiding out there? Do you do
I
independent
don't
guiding or
do
not really?
guiding at the moment, but if you want to join us for a field trip, FresnoAudubon.org, we have field trips all the time, at least a few every month. Um, we also do beginning birding classes, and so just look at our website for how to get in touch with us and join us on one of our field trips.
Can people just like pop in if they're from out of town? Do you have to sign up?
Yeah, there's like a registration link.
Okay,
It's all free and it takes about just a couple of minutes. I think we just need your name, email, and that's it.
cool. Sounds good. Well, thanks so much for chatting with us, Rick, and thanks to everyone for watching and listening to this episode of the Badgerland Birding Podcast.